Table, thanks. Can I have this chair?
Yes.
First of all, we all know that the music world, the entertainment world, and anyone of my generation has suffered a great loss. We all know what happened yesterday. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know, I'll report the news to you. Kanye West is still alive. Why the fuck you all up this early? This is torture. Now, I just got off of a tour called The Battle of the Seasons. It's a show of RuPaul's Drag Race finest queens traveling the world. We just got done with our Europe tour. Just got back from Madrid, Copenhagen, Berlin, London. Now I'm doing a free speaking engagement in nine in the fucking If any of you think this is coffee, you have another thing coming. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sharon Needles. I've lived in Pittsburgh since September 27th, 2004. I'll never forget that day that I came here. But I think we're talking about risks today, right? We're talking about risks. And having them bring me as a speaker is a huge risk. And when I think about risks, it's hard for me to think about risks because when you are a man in high heels, you learn to run before you learn to walk. My whole life is practically a risk. So some people would think I was a fitting person to talk about this topic, but I don't feel risk, and I don't feel consequence. So this is a strange thing for me to talk about. First of all, let me suck my own dick here and just let you know about my accomplishment. You like that? You've been drinking. I've been called by the press an alcoholic. I just say I'm a Pittsburgher. Speaking of, let me just open up one of my favorite books, Give the Woman What She Wants. Ooh, that's cheap. That's Banker's Club right there. Let me tell you a little bit about who I am. My name's Sharon Needles. I'm the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 4. For those of you who don't know, it's a reality competition show that takes 13 of some of the finest drag personas and personalities in the world, and they fight to the death to become America's next drag superstar. I'm also the producer and writer of 2 records. My first record was PG-13, which hit number 2 in the iTunes Pops charts, and my second record, Taxidermy, which hit number 4, which is a huge accomplishment for a man in a dress. It sounds I played off-Broadway Frankfurter in the Rocky Horror Picture Show to rave reviews. Well, it was off-Broadway. Well, off-Broadway. Well, it was San Antonio, Texas. But I still got great reviews of this. I'm also I'm one of the bigger and more known faces of PETA. I'm also one of the knower faces of PETA. Okay, I don't eat them, but I wear the shit out of them. And I've toured the world over 6 times. That being said, no place makes me happier than Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The 412724. God, I'm telling you, I'm the Sally Wiggins of drag. I could drink all day. Do you think I look like Sally Wiggins?
No.
Better.
Better than Sally Wiggins? Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Risk. Well, I think any drag queen is a risky person. You know, I don't care if you're as high as RuPaul or just a newly starting queen. You're a very risky person. And I grew up, not here in Pittsburgh, but I grew up in a town called Newton, Iowa. Home of Maytag dishwashers and dryers, and Time magazine called it in 1996 the meth capital of the world. I dabbled in one of those, and I don't do laundry. I was a happy kid. I was a pretty happy kid, as long as you kept me out of school. And a lot of people said, did you hate yourself as a child? I'm like, no, I loved me. It was just everyone else that seemed to have an issue. I was obsessed with fantasy, and I was obsessed with television. I say this all the time. I was raised by a single parent, and her name was TV. I was raised by Rhonda Shear on USA Up All Night. I was raised by Peggy Bundy on Married with Children. I was raised by Elvira, and I had an obsession with pop culture. And I think the reason I had that is because I grew up in a desolate cornfield in the middle of fucking nowhere. Filled with a whole bunch of fucking idiots that just were not understanding where I was coming from. I like to play this little game. It's called Who's Better Now? It's a fun little game. See, this is how the rules work. You look up that person, that popular person who played football and had a beautiful cheerleader girlfriend. Look them up on Facebook. Look at those pictures. Those raggedy children with their SpaghettiO-stained faces. Oh, their terrible clothes. Their one-story aluminum siding houses. And then look at yourself. You feel so much better. But I had it pretty hard growing up. I really did. I got picked on ever since I entered school. And I did anything I could to fit in. What I saw on TV seemed popular, so I just tried to emulate whatever my school wanted me to be. And I did that unsuccessfully for many, many years. And I'll never forget it. It was February 9th, 1996. My idol, Marilyn Manson, was playing in Des Moines, Iowa, the glitzy, glamorous Hollywood of Iowa. And I went to that show in my thrift store black gown and my face painted white, and all I saw was the most beautiful scene I've ever seen. Protesters. Protesters saying that he was a sodomite and that you were going to hell and that you're damned in the eyes of God. And I just felt so famous. And I went to that show and left such a changed person. I went home, I shaved my eyebrows off, I dyed my hair hot pink, I made an outfit out of vinyl material that I found from my mom's raincoat, and that's when Sharon Needles walked into Newton Senior High freshman year. I left second period. I left second period. It was because it was 1996 and bullying was still hip. It's not like how it is today where, people shut down bullies very quickly. It's not like today where bullies hide behind computer screens, typing away, being negative towards other people. This was face-to-face agony for me. And that's when I decided that I was going to leave high school. So I dropped out my freshman year. And, well, I didn't really drop out. My counselor brought in my parents and said it might be best if I left the school because my visuals were a distraction to the other students. So I left high school. I had so much anger about the anxiety that I was dealing with by just being a kid. Now that I look back at it, I felt like I was such an adult at the time, but now that I look back, I was just a 15-year-old little boy. And dealing with the pressures of just so much hatred and anxiety that I was a sponge. I was a sponge just absorbing all of this anger and not having the tools or the muscle or the resources to deal with it. So what I did was I wringed it out on my parents. And I wringed it out on my family, making me a terrorist. And when I say terrorist, honey, I'm 9'11" in high heels at this time. Too soon? I was writing jokes on 9/12. So I was too much for my too much for my family, and too much for my parents because I let them be the source of my brutality. And that's when I found one of my best friends, methamphetamines. She's so cute for a while.
Yeah.
And that led me down a strange path. I ran away from home. I went to Des Moines. I got a fake ID. At the age of 15, I was working in a drag cast in the basement of Faces nightclub. And that's when I found the Gay Loop. The Gay Loop was Illinois Avenue in Des Moines, Iowa, one of my favorite streets to this day in the world. A collection of homeless teenage gay misfits that came together every single night to hang out on this one single street. And that's where I really found my people. That's where I found my tribe. That's where I found people that dealt with the same issues that I did. And that's when I knew that drag was going to be what saved me. At 18, I left Des Moines for a much bigger world. I wanted to experience the world. I became a kind of punk, transient hippie, living in dilapidated, abandoned houses outside of Denver, living in teepees in New Mexico, living on people's couches, cars, flipping signs. And then, due to my outrageous behavior, I was looking at some jail time in Boulder, Colorado. And I said, it's either jail time in Boulder, Colorado, or something what I thought would be much worse. Pittsburgh. I don't do jail. I don't do good in jail. They only give you one book, and that's the Bible, and I'm only good at burning that. So, or rolling joints. Bibles make. Do you smoke weed? No? You will one day. And in a pinch, Bible paper is some of the best rolling paper ever.
Thank you.
So I had to take a risk. Do I go to prison or do I go to Pittsburgh? And I chose Pittsburgh. The only thing I knew about Pittsburgh is that Mr. Belvedere took place here. Of course, again, I was raised by a television. All I knew was what came spewing out of that flat screen. So then I came to Pittsburgh. I lived in Garfield. That was my first neighborhood. And we lived in an abandoned house on, I think, Roseland. I could be wrong about the street name. But we squatted a house. We had a gray water system, and I didn't really know much about Pittsburgh. And as you know, if you guys are Pittsburgh familiars, the city's very easy. If you've never been here, this is the most complicated city in the world. And it took me a long time to learn it. And the more I realized that there was something about Pittsburghers, and that was the pride that they had. And I immediately become obsessed with it. I tried to learn, you got Yin's getting downtown for Iron City and that, watching the game and that. I instantly tried to learn the language. I instantly decided I loved pierogies, French fries, and coleslaw on everything. I was obsessed with this city instantly. I fell in love with it. I always say, Pittsburgh's like Portland, we don't brag. We're like Portland, but we don't brag. We don't. If they ever made a Pittsburghia show, oh my God, I would hate it. But it's true. It's true. We're like Portland, but we don't brag. That's why it's a really cool town. At this time, I'm living with so many hippies and punks that I kind of turned my back on the drag world and the gay world. In fact, I kind of wanted to distance myself from it as much as I possibly could. And then I went to my first drag show here in Pittsburgh. All glamour, gowns, feather boas, gorgeous hair, and that's when I knew that a change had to happen. And that I wanted to do an outsiders, an anti-drag type of drag, an anti-political type of drag, a button-pushing, angsty type of femininity on stage. Another risk. Another risk, trying to be a drag queen in a town full of beautiful glamazons. It didn't work out so well at first. The queens weren't really keen to my scene. They weren't really into what I wanted to bring to the stage. I wanted to bring politics, and I wanted to bring the concepts of misogyny and racism and ageism, body shaming to the stage and make fun of it. I always say, as a drag queen, we already deal with a world that hates you. Why not make fun of it for 3 minutes on stage? Again, I find my tribe. I find Veruca La Piranha. I find Cherry Bomb. I find Amy Vodka House. And we start the legendary House of Haunt. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the House of Haunt, but it was my first drag troupe, and we took over a very small bar called the Blue Moon, which is now the most legendary performance space in this city to this day. At the time, we couldn't find a bar that would take our troupe because we were too weird, we were too messy. We would pee on stage. We would eat shit. I mean, we were disgusting. We were the Gigi Allen of a drag troupe. So no bar would let us hang. So we found this bar called the Blue Moon, and we went in, and there was all these older men dressed either as a Golden Girl or in champagne-colored 80s teddies. And we're like, I love this place. And not only that, they're gonna love us. They are going to love us. No, they didn't. We thought they were drag queens, but what they were cross-dressers. They were straight men who worked in construction or worked in factories that got their sexual kicks off by dressing up as A, a Golden Girl, or B, a champagne-colored teddy. So when we started doing our shows, they hated us, and it started off as a slow start. No one really came, no one really cared. And slowly but surely, we churned it into just a weekly mashup of insanity and completely retarded acts. Completely retarded. See where I went there? Using the R word?
Yeah.
Yeah. Switching it to retard. But we can't say tranny anymore, so I gotta say something. And that's the way it was. 6 years of the coolest underground punk show, entertaining, outsider art, gays. I mean, when you're gay, you already don't fit in. And when you're gay and you don't even fit in with other gays, that's even just like double elimination on the way you feel about yourself. So we really created a community for outsider thinkers and artists and weirdos and retards. And it was great. Then I took another risk, a risk which I usually don't do because I'm a dick pig. And if you guys don't know what a dick pig is, that's a gay man who loves to suck dick all the damn time. And it's funny, but it's true. And then I took a risk. This drag queen from California decided to visit her parents on Christmas of 2008, and her name was Alaska Thunderfuck. And she never heard of her. She don't smoke weed. Would you like some of my vodka, though?
Sure.
When I say that's a whole glass of vodka, I'm not lying. Go ahead, have a little sip. I get prettier after every shot. Now, see how much of a woman I
Thank you.
I've been drinking since 5 a.m. I don't know.
just started.
My ego is almost as big as my liver right now. I'm at Alaska Thunderfuck. And I never had a real serious boyfriend. And here was this kid, Alaska. She visited for Christmas, and we did a couple shows together. And we looked at each other, and we're like, we are the exact same person. Strange, unusual, extremely talented. Love to push buttons, and we don't just cross over the line. We both snorted them. So I knew she was a keeper. A couple months later, she moves from California, and we just start dating. We had that American love affair. It's like Notebook, but with torn fishnets and a big bad blonde wig. And it was fabulous. Alaska always had this obsession, and her obsession was this show called RuPaul's Drag Race. And it's my favorite show in the world. If you guys don't watch it, I suggest you start season 4. It's a good one. She had this obsession with RuPaul's Drag Race. Like, I'm going to get on Drag Race. And I said, honey, RuPaul... You're busted. Hey, Suri ain't going to tell you nothing I'm not going to. She had this obsession with RuPaul's Drag Race, and she said she was going to get on. She auditioned every year. And I always told her, don't you watch the show? RuPaul says this is the 13 best drag queens in the nation. And we're terrible. They're never going to take us. Or you. I don't audition. So she auditioned. Just day after day, making this tape. Then I started thinking, what if they did take her? Ooh, I'd be so jealous. There's only one emotion to a drag queen stronger than love. Jealousy. So I thought, I better put in one of these tapes. I better put in an audition tape and try and get on this terrible show. So I make one. We both get the call. Alaska, Sharon, you're in the top 100 to be on RuPaul's Drag Race. She freaks out. She's jumping around, you know, hi. And I'm like, honey, this is never gonna work. Then we get into the top 30, then the top 20. That's when you start doing Skype interviews with the producers, where you have to live, Skype them. And they said, you two are gonna be the first couple ever cast on RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be shady. You and me on RuPaul's Drag Race, then we're both gonna do terribly. We're gonna have to lip sync for our lives, and we're gonna have to send one of us home, and then we're gonna cry. This is gonna be genius. We make top 15. We make top 13. Then I get a call saying, Sharon, I need you to do another Skype interview, but I need to make sure that you do it without Alaska, and you need to do it in another building. I did that Skype interview, and that's when they told me that I had made it onto season 4 of RuPaul's Drag Race and that she hadn't. And that was a hard day to go home. That was a really hard, well, she ain't hurting now. But that was a hard day to go home. I take another risk. I go on RuPaul's Drag Race, knowing, my name's Sharon Needles. I name myself Sharon Needles because that's how straight people get AIDS.
Sharon Needles. Oh.
Too soon?
Yeah, I got it.
It's AIDS, darling. We all have it.
I'm a nurse.
Oh. With AIDS?
No.
You had no fun in the 80s.
No.
No, my name's Sharon Needles. It's about using old needles. It's a disgusting name. It's a terrible thing to name yourself. I knew I had no chance in hell on this show. I thought I'd be a gimmick, 1 episode, 2 episodes. Then I get on. I win the first challenge. Who knew? Sure, what a fluke. Next thing you know, I have won more main challenges on RuPaul's Drag Race in all of its 8 seasons. Someone named Sharon Needles, a punk rock drunk clown from Pittsburgh, won more challenges in RuPaul's Drag Race history. Stranger things have not happened. They haven't. I drink as much as Rick Seebeck eats, you know that. I love Rick Seebeck. He's like a fat Vincent Price. I said on Twitter once that I'd suck his dick and he favorited it. Because we all know Rick Seebeck ain't fooling nobody. So I took a risk. I went on a reality television show, and the next thing you know, I won. I was the season 4 winner of RuPaul's Drag Race, and possibly, and I'm not saying this because I'm saying it, I'm saying it because a lot of press outlets have said it, is that I changed the show. I changed the show and allowed this TV show to recognize outsider artists, to recognize all facets of drag, and all sorts of things like that. And that's great, and it's allowed me to have a fruitful career, travel the world, and have a lot of fun. But fame is a great idea, but it's not a great thing. It's not a great thing. Fame is something, and I can't speak for all of you, but for me, it's all I wanted. I'm an adult. I knew Santa Claus isn't real. I know God isn't real. I know Donald Trump is fucking retarded. I'm smart. But I still believe that fame was the ultimate Xanax, the Band-Aid, the pat on the back, and mother's hug. I knew that's what fame was. How stupid was I to think that working so hard to be recognized and to be scrutinized and to be to be loved for no reason and hated even more for no reason would be something that would be comforting or something that I would enjoy. Why would any adult with pubic hair and a mortgage think that people they don't know, 13-year-old fat goth Beth from Boise, Idaho, loves them, would make you feel good about yourself? That was a weird turn. And then I had to start thinking about the human condition. I had to start thinking about, because I hate most people. I'm sure if I met half of you, I'd probably not even like you. I hate people. It's a Pittsburgh. I mean, I like you, but I probably hate most of the other ones. Come on, one more.
Are you driving?
If you find a better drag queen than me, I'll wrestle an alligator in the middle of Liberty Avenue. Does that make sense to anyone? It's an old 1989 car commercial. You're not real Pittsburghers. So, neither am I. So I started thinking about the human condition. What makes us all the same? Why are 99% of the people terrible, and why are 1% me? And that's when I found the connection, and it was a connection that made sense to me. We're all gonna die. That's the only thing we have in common. The only thing we have in common is that we're all carbon creatures, and we're all gonna live, and we're all gonna die. And that's kind of grim to think about, that the only thing we have in common is that we won't have to deal with one another one day. And then I thought, there's got to be another binder. There's got to be another glucose. There's got to be another glue stick that keeps us together. And then I realized what it was. It's love. It's love. And I'm a drag queen, so I'm really good at loving myself. And loving the way I look. And loving the way my face looks in a mirror. And then I realized that that really happened about a month ago. A month ago, my cat, I had to put my cat down. And I know it's no big deal, like everyone has pets or whatever. But this cat meant so much to me because I didn't choose this cat. This cat chose me. It was April 14th, 2008. And I used to do independent films. If any of you guys know the great director Marina Fenning, who was the head of filmmakers, she used to have me star in her short films. And we were doing a screening in my house of one of our early films. And this emaciated, dreaded, disgusting cat walked into my house. At the time I lived on Carroll Street in Bloomfield, and so we had tons of alley cats in the neighborhood, but this one just walked in, and I tried to shoot away, and it just hissed at me and screamed at me and said, I am not leaving this house. This is the ultimate risk. A cat choosing a human and not saying, no, I'm not leaving, I'm gonna stay here. I didn't want this cat. I was a cross-dressing alcoholic. I can't deal with a fucking cat. And it was disgusting. Literally matted and gross. And it would not leave. And for 3 days we tried to get it from under the couch. It would hiss and scratch at you. Well, I lived in, at the time, the House of Hun. It was a punk house. And, well, the punks just thought this cat was the coolest thing they ever seen. It was Joan Jett with 4 legs. It was disgusting. They're like, you gotta take this thing to the vet. And I'm like, can we just drown it in the Monongahela? This thing is grossing me out. PETA, everyone, I work for PETA. So we took the cat to the vet. And they said, what's its name? I'm like, it doesn't have a name. It's a disgusting, gross cat. And they're like, you have to give it a name. So I named it the word I hate the most in phonetics. Both. I hate the word both. When I buy donuts, I say that one and that one, not both of them. Or when people put an L in it, both. I love the word broth, but I can't handle the word both. I also love the word appointment, but can't handle the word ointment. Anyway, I can phonetically be unpleased at all times. So I named them both. Well, they obviously hated the word too because they named him Booth. I don't know what's worse, the assassinator of Lincoln or the word both. They said his entire intestines was nothing but newspaper. Now he had obviously been living off of newspaper for months. Have you ever tried newspaper? You gotta eat the Nardozis. Smart girl. Come on, no. You gotta eat the Nardozis. That makes sense to you, and I like that. He started getting healthier. I started feeding him. Still hated him. It was gross. Slowly but surely, one day I woke up in my bed, and he was at the corner of my bed. I was terrified. I thought he was going to eat me. And slowly but surely, this nurturing relationship between me and this old, rotten cat. They said he was so, so problematic with his health. They couldn't tell if he was from the age of 5 or 9. Next thing you know, this goddamn cat becomes my absolute best friend. A love affair that I'll never, ever forget. I would have you all murdered if you just came back alive right now. All of you. Even you. And you'd go up in flames because you're half alcohol. Then I get on Drag Race. I'm away, my cat doesn't get to see me. And then I realize something weird. The fans start realizing who my cat is. My cat starts having 3 Twitters, 2 Tumblrs. I was in Recife, Brazil, in an antique shop and found a t-shirt of my cat.
Wow.
My cat didn't know my cat was famous. My cat didn't even know I was famous. I go out on the road from Australia, Europe, South America, Canada, meeting hundreds of thousands of people a day, and my cat doesn't know I'm famous. Fame can strengthen relationships and it can destroy them. But my cat had absolutely no idea that I was famous and loved me anyway. I think that's why it's the best love affair that I ever had. Prepping for Battle of the Seasons Europe tour about a month and a half ago, I was in LA, and I get the call from my fiance that Saron's back legs were no longer working, and I had to fly home immediately. I had to take a risk whether I was going to try and make my cat better with hundreds of thousands of dollars of medical care when I knew it wouldn't work, or to do something that was probably the most beautiful, surreal, and terrifying thing I've ever done. And that was to shove a needle into my cat's body and make him die. So if you're ever really going to risk anything on anything, risk it on the ones you love. Thank you, guys.